Not Worth the Time with Wade Taylor. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Not Worth the Time. We're here in the frigid cold, trying to entertain you through this awful misery that is snow and cold. Cold snow affects us all. Everybody's getting hammered this year. South is always looking down on us northerners, dealing with the cold, being like, oh, that sucks. I can't believe you did that. Well, now you know what it's like. Yeah. So we just kind of deal with it. It's just normal. That's what's weird is what happened in Texas is just completely normal for Iowa. That is just a walk in the park. That's just a average day in the Midwest, right? Like, they didn't even know what ice scrapers are, guys. They don't know what that shit is. I have family in Texas. Nobody down there knows what a fucking ice scraper is. You show up and, like, you just have a different set of roadside assistant skills. Could you imagine being a tow person down there when all this happened? Like, those tow men are, and women, I guess there are tow women. There definitely are. I've seen some tow women before. They they got OnlyFans accounts, those tow women, you know? They're just flashing in every little piggly wiggly out there, you know? There can be tow men and women, you know? There's a guy out there just an OnlyFans who has hobbit feet, and he gets so much money being a tow man. The tow man. It's Tim the Tow Man Taylor. Just some guy with an OnlyFans account who's just totally just being just exactly like Tim Allen's character, except he just shows his feet. He's got an assistant named Al who's just always nutting on his hobbit feet. Tim the Tow Man Taylor. Check out his OnlyFans. That'll be out there. If I ever get real desperate for money and I start just venturing into the world of sex work, that's what my angle's going to be. I'm going to cash in on the nostalgia of home improvement along with, a working man's job, being a tow man, and then also showing off my toes with the hobbit feet. I'm clicking a lot of boards there, I think. I think I got a winning strategy. I just got to find me a burly bear man who is willing to do that, and I don't think that's too much to ask. We'll make some money. How much are you willing to bet? Oh, that's a lot to put out there on the internet. That's too much. Tow woman, though. There's plenty of those. Those are all out there, man. That is a genre where you can make some coin. But an actual, like, people in the towing industry down in Texas are not prepared for that kind of weather. They don't probably even have chains ready for that. Why would you? This is what, a 1 in 50-year storm that hit Texas. Like, they snow. But here's the problem. It's like, this was crazy. Like, the temperatures dropped beyond belief, just so far down. And they've never dealt with that. But even when it's just like below freezing temperatures, just enough to make snow, if it snows half a centimeter, nobody down there can drive. Nobody. They all are just slipping, sliding. It becomes Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift, except nobody makes that tight turn without going off the cliff. They're all going off the cliff and they're all dying. There is no skilled driver for them to do that. Like, they're just screwed. But it's just an average day up here in the north for us. Like, it was so cold that I didn't work for like a week and a half. That's unusual. That's how cold it was up here. But there is always like a stint where it drops like to unbelievable bitter temperatures up here. And it is what it is. You just kind of got to deal with it. We had to deal with a fun situation that I've never been a part of, where our valve to our water froze, and that was not a fun situation. I mean, you just without water, you just got to deal with it. You go pick up some packs of water, and then you try to figure out how to unthaw the thing, which, to my surprise, the way you have to thaw a water valve is way simpler. And also, I can't believe there's not a better way to do it. It was very interesting. Like, So all you can do really is like we live out in like a county, right? So we're kind of outskirts of town. So there's no city water. It's like a valve from a well. Every house has its own well, so that's the valve and that's what pumps the water into the house. If that freezes, you lose access to your water. So how do you deal with that, right? Well, you got to go out there, you got to pop the lid off your thing. And apparently the best way to do this is you get like duct piping for a dryer so it can withstand enough heat. You put it on the tailpipe of your car. You drive hopefully you got a truck, something with some 4-wheel drive to get through that snow. It's cold. There's snow on the ground. So you just fucking drive that bitch right up in the yard, and you stick that dryer pipe on the end of it, and you just fucking pump your exhaust in there and let it warm up the valve. That's the way you go about unfreezing your valve. That was verbatim what we heard from the county. Like the guy who was supposed to come out and like help us like with county water and stuff like that. There are people who are still in charge of that, a municipality, and that's what they say that they do. So we just went ahead and did it ourselves. Although we first thought that was like, wow, that's the only way you can do it is going up in the yard with your car. It was insane. So we tried to do a different way. Like we tried to use like a chicken heating lamp. You know, like you heat up baby chicks to keep them warm, like one of those. We tried to like lower that down and like put it above it, but just too cold. Like they just still didn't work. Maybe next time, if we don't want to use the exhaust and pollute the environment with so much exhaust, it's out there for 40 minutes, just fucking revving that engine to unfreeze that bastard. But that's what you got to do if you want some water. That's how you fucking deal with it, man. You just sit there and rev your engine. And we dual piped it. We used the Ford Explorer. It's got dual tailpipes coming out the side. Make sure you can get a nice little good flow in there. So we had two motherfuckers popping right in there, just heating that bitch up. It's crazy. But then we got the water flowing. I just can't believe that's the best way to unthaw is to just run a car and have the exhaust like heat up the valve in order to let the ice melt and break on through. Yeah, you just got to wait for the water to break on through the other side. You just got to, next time I think we just got to play the Doors. And, we just get that water motivated to break on through. And then we'll be good. You just got to let it rock out for a little bit and that water starts pumping, Starts fist pumping to break on through to the other side. That's the way it goes. But, like, I don't even know what else we could have done. We tried that little heat lamp. I guess we could have got a toaster oven, like set it to heat to like 350, just put it right on top of the valve somehow, get it right on top of it, and just let it fucking heat up. That'd be dangerous, though. That is a disaster waiting to happen, huh? Yeah. I just can't believe that's even the county solution. They haven't even tried to venture in to create some kind of device that would help with that. Like, there's not like a heat ray. You put it right over top of that and just fucking pull the trigger and you just blast heat right down in there. That way, just something a little more environmentally friendly that's not a motherfucking just exhaust fumes just being entered in the air. It was crazy because, like, I had to get out and go mess with it. I'd probably inhale way too much exhaust at this point in my life. I have inhaled so much. Like this job I'm working now, when we start the diesel trucks, especially early in the morning when it's cold like this and they just fire out diesel fumes. Oh my god, it's fucking brutal, and you just almost can't, it's like bonfire smoke. No matter where you move, the exhaust fumes are following you. There's like, what do I have to do? Like, you're clear across the yard, you're like 50 yards away, but somehow you're still getting hit with diesel fumes. You're like, fuck, shit, can't outrun them, dude. It's like heat-seeking, So that's been happening lately. Now that's only been a few months since I started working this job, but like I've killed so many brain cells. Probably my buddy Josh had a Ford Bronco forever. Like it was his first car. Or I shouldn't say we. He rebuilt like the engine block in it. That's like how much he wanted to keep this at one point. Like it was just like totally fucked. And I helped him here and there, but like he did most of the work. You ever just go help your buddy who's really good with cars, you're like, oh yeah, I'll finally learn something about cars, and it turns out you just do the same thing you do with your dad when you're helping him with a project, just holding a flashlight, and you learn nothing. Like I sometimes brag that like I helped my buddy rebuild the car engine, and that's a complete lie. If I ever say that to you, and you've heard this podcast, you'd be like, oh, I know you're lying. And I'll be like, oh, you listen to the pod, huh? And just a little tap. Oh, I guess there's a little cranking going on upstairs. I don't know if you heard that. There's a little bit of a drill bit. It probably not. I don't think it picked up on the mic. I didn't hear it in the headphones. So that's why you always have one ear out so you can hear your surroundings. I don't wear this because of the stylistic choice. I wear this because I'm paranoid and I need. If I felt like if I had both cans on, I wouldn't hear my outside thing, and someone could just come in here, slice my throat. My back's to the door, man. I don't have any kind of weaponry right here. I got a pen. What am I gonna Jason Bourne somebody to death? Am I gonna pull out this? Am I gonna have time to pull up this pen, pull off this fucking cap, and then also stab them? And I gotta pull this cap off and put the cap on the back because I'm not gonna lose the cap. I mean, I don't want to lose it. That's the worst when you have one of these pens with a cap and you lose it. I can't have that happen. So I have to pick up the pen, pull off the tap, then put it in the back, and then stab him before he shoots me in the back of the head. That's risky. So, but that's the way I can hear him coming. You know what I mean? I still don't know what I'm gonna do if I hear him coming. I guess I'm gonna cower on this podcast, and I wish it was like if I was recording it live, it might be able to at least solve my mystery. But they'll just delete the footage, delete the audio, and here you go. Steal the computer. Find the archives of all the other podcasts we've done, listen to those, be like, man, this guy was pretty good. I'm sorry I killed him. I really could have used some more episodes. Now I got to find a new podcast to listen to. Everybody talks about this Guys We Fuck podcast. I should check that out, I guess. Man, I forgot where I was going with that. There was something more to talk about with the thawing of the pipes, but that's what it is. I guess we're just done with that. But everybody's dealing with the cold now, and if you're like me, you got to thinking a couple times, like, how did people deal with like when it was this cold back in the day? Like, how did they? I just was like thinking about like nomads, just like moving through this and trying to like stay ahead of the seasons and moving from place to place where the seasons changed and following herds, and like you had to deal with that. Like just a small group of like 80 people, like you had to lose at least like 5 to 6 people. Like if you're a tribe of like, let's just say 40, you probably lost at least 3 to 5 people every snow or every year during the winter. Like just during that one stretch where it was brutally cold like this, you had to lose people constantly. But then, so I was thinking about that negative aspect, and then somebody was starting to look into different things, like what did people do to deal with the boredom of being stuck inside when it's cold or trapped by coldness. Like, fuck being just even in your house. Like, we're so lucky that you can be trapped in your house and or in a snowstorm. These people were like stranded from like in the mountains or like in like a frozen like lake sea or lake sea like a frozen, just frozen, like this one I was about to look at is from like a ship, I guess. But like, so they had to deal with like long stretches of being stuck in ice in their ship, and like how you deal with the boredom of that. So it says fighting boredom with the banjos and the Russian grammar. Okay. Due to Antarctica's extreme winters, which include 4 months of total darkness, polar explorers endure intense confinement in close quarters for long periods of time. Okay, that's what it is. These guys are up in the Arctic, and this is like the very, very early explorers of the environment, right? So they're up there dealing with brutal coldness. It's dark out, and like just being in the dark like for that long, like it's just, what is it? I think in the spring or like in the winters or in Australia, in Alaska, they have like an hour of sunlight like a day or some shit like that. It's pretty wild. So, but these guys are up in the Arctic, or down in the Arctic. Sorry, not the North Pole. Antarctica, so they'd be down in the south, down in the dirty south down there in the Antarctica. Antarctica. There's definitely somebody who's named Arctica. Like, I'm gonna name a daughter that, and just hope one of my other kids has uh children, so I have grandchildren, so we can call her Antarctica. Arctica. Hell yeah, dude. You gotta plan those pranks in advance, dude. Hell yeah. There's where you could call it. Antarctica. Well, guess what the name of this podcast is? Hell yeah, dude. I'm gonna just torture my children. I've been tortured with my name my whole life, and this is what's about to happen. You pass that pain on. I could break the cycle, but nah, what's the fun in that? Okay, American pioneer Richard Byrd, I'm guessing that's how you say that, Byrd, explained little things have the power to drive even the most disciplined to the edge of insanity. I like that there's ellipses in there, like, you know, how do you say, little things fucking have the power to drive even the most disciplined fuckhead to the edge of insanity. Little things, shit, have the power to drive even the most disciplined cunt licker to the edge of insanity. You should put whatever you want in there. I mean, he was a Arctic explorer back in like the 30s, I think. So he's just like cussing like a sailor, man. One of the ones who survive with a measure of happiness are those who can live profoundly off of their intellectual resources, as hibernating animals live off their fat. Okay, so you have to use your mind. You have to be able to live off the rations of your own mind in order to stay sane. That makes, I guess, perfect sense. How did Antarctic explorers in the early 1900s survive tenamines, tenamines? I don't know what that fucking word is. In the time long before the internet. Well, let's find out together here, guys, on this podcast. By the way, if you want to read or listen to this, or see the article itself, links are in the description of this episode, wherever you're watching it or listening to it. So always have the links down there. So let's find out here. Music. Music was vital to sanity and the welfare of explorers. It is necessary to be cut off from civilization to realize fully the power of music has to recall the past, to smother the present and give hope for the future, said one of the youngest members of the Terra Nova expedition from 1910 to 1913. That makes sense. The Scottish National Arctic Expedition 1902 to 1904 included an official bagpiper. God damn. Okay, I know they're Scottish, but even the Scots gotta admit, at some point, the bagpipe gets fucking old. You're on like a 7-8 month. Okay, even back then, that's probably cutting it short. This is at least like a 2-year venture. Well, is that exploration was 2 years, so this is a 2-year venture. You're telling me you're gonna listen to a bagpipe for 2 years? That's all you got? That is all you got. Oh man, it sucks. He only knows one song. It's the one they play at funerals. So you're just thinking about your fuckhead uncle who died in a fire, who was a firefighter who died, and that's what you're thinking about for 2 years. Every time he's like, "Hey, play us a song, Jimmy." Well, I guess it's the only one I know. He's just playing it at different tempos. Fuck, man. If that's your only source of music entertainment, eventually you're going to go insane enough to just you just break that. You're like, I'd rather not have music. Let's all sing songs, please, for the love of Christ. Oh, man. Admiral Byrd brought us a phonogram on the Adventure base to the advanced base in 1934, calling music his only real luxury. Okay, yeah, and that was like a big deal to have one of the phonographs back then. So like he was balling out of control. Man, who knew that like adventurers back in like the 1930s were just fucking stacked with cash? I wonder if he got some government grants, you know? No, I'll run an experiment. He's just experimenting on his shipmates. Should experiment on the crew to see how music affects those isolated in the snowy depths of the Arctic. It's a very specific study. I don't know why we need to. Why do we need to look into that? For research purposes. When abandoning the slow sinking ship Endurance, Ernest Schlechten's men were allowed to carry only 2 pounds of personal effect. But Schlechten insisted that meteorologist Leonard Hussey take his 6-pound banjo along, saying, "It's vital mental medicine. We shall need it." The banjo, dude. Nobody can afford a 6-string guitar. Like, we just got to go with these instruments. Like, I don't know. It's a very so you're going with, hey, we need to have music on the boat, right? Right. Yeah, that's a vital thing. So we definitely want to make sure we have the best instruments possible. Yes. So what are the top instruments? Let's go with banjo and bagpipe. That's what we're gonna go with. Two very, very popular instruments. I feel like if you were on the Family Feud, those would be like, name the. I feel like those wouldn't be the top answers. Steve Harvey would not be like, if you were gonna be trapped in the Arctic for many years, what type of instrument would you bring to lighten up your crew? I don't feel like banjo and bagpipe are going to be high on that list of America's choices. Bagpipe is the answer you give that Steve Harvey looks at you like, oh, Lord, no. Oh, God, no. You must be out of your fucking mind. Reading books. Okay, I don't feel like I need to look into this too hard. Of course, reading books would be a great way to passage time. I would just make sure you're not reading the Lord of the Rings books. Like when they're in the mountain section, you're just gonna remember how cold you are. You gotta read like a summertime book. You know what you gotta read? You gotta read romance novels. That's right. You gotta pick up some lady romance novels, specifically ones where they're down like Argentina or a beach area. So they're like the author's just describing the nice, beautiful beach weather. So you're just like thinking about that rather than thinking about the bitter cold you're in. You're just in a whole nother world. A whole new world of exploring. Yeah, and then that's actually gonna probably piss off your crew if you get them nothing but romance novels about like warm spots and like, why are we passed Argentina on the way here? Why don't we just fucking explore that? No, we gotta go where it's cold. There's nothing here. We know that now. Somebody was here like 30 years ago. What do we need to study this for? Little did we know they're probably very, very, very right to study them because polar ice caps melting, all that good shit, whatever. Oh man, writing in a diary is one of the way to pass the time. Diaries were extremely common among polar explorers. First, men were aware accounts of their experiences could have monetary value in the future. That's right, thinking ahead, investing. You got to write down. That's why they use such colorful language. Man, they were so much better at writing. The common man just describing something back in the day. Like when you watch a documentary and they bring up passages, they were just so much more eloquent. They were a lot better about describing things and how to, just the ability to describe their surroundings and like their experiences. They were much more colorful and better at doing that. I think we've lost a lot of that because nowadays, like when you document like what you've been doing or like that, you do it through pictures, right? Or so like people have lost the gift of description or telling a story or explaining an experience. I've seen a lot of people really lose touch in the ability to do that, which is sad. It sucks. So let's read on here. Second, diaries served as record and keepsakes for the family. Third, as many days tend to run together, diaries became a way to differentiate one day from the other. Finally, one explorer explained, a diary in this life is one of the only ways in which a man can blow off steam. That's true. You know what you can't get canceled for? Write in your motherfucking diary. Unless you got a piece of shit who lives around you who just like publishes all your work in a diary. You can put so much angry and bitter shit in a diary and no one will ever see it as long as you keep it under lock and key. You gotta hide that shit. And you don't tell people you keep a diary. You fucking keep that shit on lockdown. You can't get canceled for your diary. That's a private thing. That's private. Now, a lot of people use Facebook and Twitter as a diary, and that is not what it's meant for. Okay, guys, you can't post that stuff. That's why you get a notebook, preferably with the lock on it. You got to go all Doug Funny style. Keep a journal on there, you know? It's not a diary, it's a journal. Doug Funny would hate this fucking calling it a diary. Can't do that. Expedition newspapers. There is a long tradition of polar explorers creating newspapers for themselves. I don't know why. I was just like, it's like a tabloid. It's just a TMZ of what's happening on the ship. Just like, turns out Colonel Sutton is not leading by example. He's cutting back on chow duty. It was his time to cook, but he paid off the lieutenant to cook dinner that night for the crew. Turns out he doesn't appreciate us. This is all fucking. Oh, that's hilarious. Reporting on weather or accounts of visits to penguin colonies. Oh, we got our out-ground reporter out there. Steven, how are the penguins doing out there? Well, they're still huddled up for warmth. Turns out the male penguin kind of a bitch. He got punked out by his wife. She just left to go eat, and she didn't bring him any food back. And he's got to stay here and make sure the kid's safe. So I'm just saying, for the 1930s, penguins kind of acting a little beta. These penguins are beta as fuck. Back to you with the ship, Charles. Just like... Okay, how long... Okay, the serious question. How long do you think it took before these scientists and explorers started having penguin fighting matches, okay? I mean, they were having chicken fights for sure back in the 1930s. You don't tell me these explorers get bored and they start betting money on penguin fights. Just putting them in a fucking hold together, poking them and prodding them, just getting these penguins to fight each other. It's horrible. It'd be a horrible practice. But it happened. Somebody forced penguins to fight on one of these expeditions, okay? They were just fucking getting these penguins to just beat the shit out of each other. Holy fuck. Interspread short stories, poetry, interviews. And we're talking to Dale for the 15th time this year. Crossword puzzles, word games. They were illustrated with both humorous and artistic drawings. Over time, those texts took a great deal of sexual content, including lewd jokes and fantasies. Hell yeah, dude. Sailors and expedition and adventurers in the Arctic were just making their own version of Playboy. Just drawing everything. They were just lampooning the entire trip. That rules, dude. That just shows that, like, dudes will just do anything, right? Is past the time. Eventually, it always turns into cocks, boobs, and pussy. It'll devolve into that. It was probably very nice and straightforward and very, work environment friendly. But then you're on a boat like that for, I say top 6 months before that newspaper divulged into like just titties and cock jokes, Games, I guess they'd play, tic-tac-toe. Why the fuck not, You play some tic-tac-toe. And play hangman. Some of the crew members can't spell. That's how they taught them. Hell yeah, dude. Food. Yeah, I guess they just work on meat food. Look at that. Look at this nice, wholesome group of men. Just, out here in 1912, having a meal, drinking. Just be like, man, it's cold outside. We're going to have some soup. Look at the size of those fucking dishes. You can't find a bowl that big these days. You know how hard it is to find a bowl like that? It's ridiculous. I've tried. I've looked. It is what it is. Alcohol. Yeah, buddy. You're just getting fucked up. That's what's up. You're just getting drunk as shit, going outside and peeing. Jeff, put your coat on before you go outside. No, man, I'm just going out for a quick second. It's negative 50. Put on a fucking coat. No, dude, the liquor's keeping me warm. That's not how that works. It's restricting blood flow. You're going to get frostbite. How many do that? They got drunk and then went and got the penguins for the penguin fights. What's black, white, and red? A bloody loser penguin. That's right. The one who lost me my goddamn paycheck this month. Brains over brawn. What kind of man survives best under severe isolations? According to Aspley Cherry Grander of the Terra Nova expedition in 1910 to 1913, 3 fucking years. The men with the greatest store of nervous energy came best through this expedition. Their strength of mind triumphs over the weakness of their bodies. If you want a good polar travel, get a man without too much muscle, and let his mind be on the wires of steel. Okay, wait, and let his mind be on wires of steel. Oh, okay, I guess. Basically, he's saying you need a mentally tough motherfucker to deal with the cold. And you know what? He's not wrong. He's not wrong, and we should definitely try to be better about that. We all need to be more mentally strong these days. But luckily, you don't have to do a lot of the boring shit they do to get distracted. If you need a distraction, you just need to go to punandgame.com. That's right, punandgame.com, guys, where you can find this show every other Monday. You got No Rational Thought every other Monday as well, so filling in those gaps. There's a show every Monday? What? Every Tuesday, you got the Empty Parlor podcast. Wednesdays, you got the reigning, defending podcast champions. Who gives a F? That's right, Nathan and I holding it down hard on those days. And there's a bunch of backlog content, guys, from Fun Punk Gaming, Matt Hates Horror Games, Things About Stuff, Monster Jamboree, The Grove. Fuck, man, there's so many good podcasts and so much content you can kill, guys. So check out punandgame.com for all of that. And while you're there, during this freezing, frigid time, why don't you pick yourself up a hoodie? I'm wearing one of the Who Gives a F hoodies right now. We also have the Scarlet F hoodie. That's a zip up, which is fucking great. Check out those. You got hoodies for all the different shows out there. And then we've got the Not Worth the Time hoodie. Check that one out. And guys, when you get yourself a shirt or a hoodie from the Pun and Game shop, don't forget to use promo code NWT Pod. That's NWTPOD for free shipping at checkout. So definitely use that promo code and get yourself something nice from the shop. I don't have any shows coming up, unfortunately, right now, guys, so I'll keep you filled in on that. Follow me on the social medias. Like I said, all the links for the article we read and the links to the social media are there. Check out my half-hour special, Wild Horses. That's on YouTube. And if you're not subscribed to the YouTube channel, go search Comic Wade Taylor on YouTube. Hit subscribe. That's where you can watch this podcast. You can watch Who Gives F, and you can watch clips of my stand-up. So check all that stuff out. Appreciate you guys. Thank you for listening to Not Worth the Time. And remember, thawing pipes is exhausting.